You are listening to the Hodges Huddle, where we discuss all things in the wide world of sports. Here's your KLSU sports team.
Welcome into the Hodges Huddle. I'm your host, Andre Chopin, and today I am joined by Jayden Smith and Michael Poggi. How are you guys doing, first of all?
Considering the circumstances,
Yes,
I'm all right.
I know. I knew it was going to be like this, but
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm alive.
yeah, it was a very long weekend for LSU fans, but especially for your boy here. I'm running on about 20 hours of sleep in the last 5 days. That's what Vegas will do to you, but we're back, and it's good to be back.
Yeah, man.
I feel clean now. Like when you go to Vegas, you just kind of feel dirty.
Yeah.
All the time. You know, you have to take 2 showers almost.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Stays in Vegas, right. But over the weekend, let's address the elephant in the room. LSU loses their 5th straight season opener and the 3rd straight opener with Brian Kelly as head coach. USC defeated LSU by a score of 27-20 as USC had a game-winning drive to end it where the LSU defense initially just couldn't get it done. First off, let's start with that defense, though, today. They gave up 450 total yards on Sunday, and when lots of us thought this year was going to be different, there were still many weak points that you could spot with the group. So let's just kind of start with the downfall. Let's start with the negatives first. What was the downfall for this defense Sunday night in your eyes?
I think you had a few broken coverages, just a few busted plays that you really can't afford to have. And
is that the worst times, too?
Exactly. And you clearly saw why. I think there were just a few mishaps here and there, and it really sucks because it was just a few mishaps, but the plays just ended up being so big, and they just ended up mattering that much more to the outcome of the game. But it could have been a lot worse. I mean,
100%.
I really don't even think this is on the defense, to be
Not
honest.
at all.
I mean,
yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my take on it.
I mean, my opinion, man, is I'm with you, Jayden. I really don't think it's fully on the defense. Obviously, there were specific plays that could have went either way. But, I mean, in my opinion, there's a lot of bright spots.
Yeah.
Ashton Stamps looks great, in my opinion. We haven't had a cornerback one since God knows how long.
Yeah. Sting.
And, Stingley. And
Bricks, maybe?
I mean, I guess, but,
right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It feels good to kind of know that we have somebody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But there's definitely a lot of things that need to be fixed. Yeah. Like Major Burns and Sage Ryan have not fixed what they have been struggling with, and we can get to that later. But
I think the downfall for the defense was the ability to play man coverage at points, like Jayden said, especially with the safeties, man. It looked like much of the defensive backs just had issues helping at times, and they got baited a lot. You saw USC did a lot of weird kind of eye candy stuff, these weird play designs, and that worked for them. And LSU kind of took the bait with their eyes. I think they should also just been a little more aggressive and creative when it comes to pass rush, as we only saw a few times. You know, Harold Perkins rushed the quarterback. I think
and
maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
3 times. One of those times he got knocked on his butt, but we won't talk about that. It happens. What did you see different, though, from this defense compared to last year?
Playing the ball. For sure. And not just playing the ball, but playing through the entire rep. There was a point, I think it was the 3rd quarter, where Stamps got targeted, and it looked like the guy came away with the ball, but once again, playing through the rep, playing through contact, and you saw his hand was able to jar the ball loose, and instead of it being a touchdown, now it's a pass breakup. And the same thing happened. I forgot who it was.
Saves a touchdown, too, by the way.
Yeah, saved a touchdown. And that happened again earlier. I think there was a guy, he gave up like a pass interference call, and they targeted him the very next play.
Yep.
And the same thing. Last year, you would have saw them just crumble up, shell up.
Bro,
somebody would have got bombed on.
Right.
You know, things are different this year.
Yeah.
And once again, you saw them just play completely through the rep and through all the action.
Dude, I'm telling you, that stop that Stamps made when he made that extra effort to get that ball, not a single player on last year's team is making that play.
I agree.
Yeah.
Not a single one. And, there were times where the defense didn't look like an LSU great defense, but man, like it. Honestly, like I'm not even close to mad at them. Yeah. I am a little bit upset that we didn't use Perk to the best of its abilities. I'm like, man, that first quarter we sent Perk right on that. He was right on the line, right on the line, and he jumped it perfectly. Third and one, jumped it perfectly. Quarterback had no time, had to throw it off, almost a turnover. Yeah. And like, why didn't we do that all the time? We were in it. And another thing that I didn't see was the defense. They had a confidence. They had some sort of.
They did have a little bit of swagger.
They had a swagger. They had that DBU swagger. A little bit too much for what they were doing, 100%. Yeah. But nonetheless, it was nice to see. Yeah. Like last year, you would see guys with their heads down, throwing their arms. I didn't really see much of that. What? And so, like, honestly, like that is a good thing that has been different from years past.
Absolutely. Yeah, I saw a lot more tenacity, which is just the want to do it. To actually go out there and hit someone and knowing that you can actually do it, not going out there and feeling like, hey, we might get burnt today. And you could see the one is there for this defense, and you actually saw disruption on a lot of plays. Right. The defensive line was causing a lot of pressure, and the tackling was much better in the open field, I'll say that, besides that last touchdown. But, I mean, at that point it was over, so you can't really say much about that. I'd say I saw just improvements with tackling in general, and then the defensive line I thought played a really, really good game. But strategic-wise, what should LSU maybe have done different?
I think they should have sent a little bit more pressure, just because I do think it was working. It was working in our favor. I think we were beginning to rattle Miller Moss a little bit, and kind of like you just said, Michael, they were doing it in the first quarter, and again, it was working, and it just makes me mad because it feels like we didn't finish the job. We had the game in our hands.
Yeah, they thought they had it. Yeah,
and we really just didn't finish the job.
And like it's not like the last 2 years where it's been like, the first year in Florida State, in New Orleans, we had no chance. We had no reason to be in that bowl game. In my opinion, we had no reason to win that game. No reason to be in that bowl game. The fact that we even had an opportunity to tie it and send to OT was a blessing, and. We lose that game. Next season after that, we get blown out. There wasn't even a good thing that I saw. This year, I don't even think we looked that bad. We just lost it.
We lost it ourselves.
We just lost the game. And
I'll say though, USC made some crazy plays down the stretch, which I was like,
Miller Moss is that guy, bro.
I was like, you know what? They can have that because that's good coverage. That's good. Like. It was really iron against iron. I think people kind of slept on USC.
They're going to be a 10-win team. They're going to be a 10-win team. And, like, that it sucks. Like, I wish we could schedule Northern Idaho week 1 like everybody else. But, I mean, I guess that's just what we got to do. I mean, we got to beat the best to be the best. But there's a lot to be upset about, but there's also a lot of positives and like what they could have done different, maybe, keeping that pressure, keeping that front seven pressure. But what can you do? You know what I mean? What can you do?
I agree. I think LSU probably should have. They didn't play zone coverage as well as they should have as far as the linebackers go. I think I watched, and this is crazy to say, I watched Greg Penn play probably the worst game that he's ever played in the purple and gold. He looked pretty lost out there. That hurts to hear. And that hurts to hear because we bragged on him every podcast last year. But it comes with the territory of a new system. And if anybody's going to, go watch film this week and actually fix it, it's going to be him. Mm-hmm. And so I'm fully confident that those issues will be handled. I just kind of hope the defensive backs are a little more disciplined. Yeah. That's the one thing where I'm like, okay, you got to know the situation. Mm-hmm. You got to look for the ball in the end zone. And honestly, I'll say that was a freshman mistake by PJ Woodlawn, and he came back and made up for it. Yeah. The Sage Ryan one, in my opinion, was not a PI. I think it could have been called either way, but honestly, it's kind of ridiculous that they called that. But I don't hate the physicality, like you said. Yeah. Like a year ago, he just gets mossed at that point.
Exactly.
So I didn't really see them really begin to crumble, and really as far
as that last drive, man.
till
Really,
that fourth
I would
quarter.
say until when Major Burns decided to take his helmet off. It just seemed like after that everything else went downhill.
And that was after the turnover, correct?
After the exactly.
So that
after
puts
the
you
turnover.
out of. I mean, that was a bad. That was horrible penalty, by the way. You get the fourth down stop, and you get the ball back, but you get it now instead of
15 yards back.
Yeah, instead of starting like about 20 yards from field goal range, now you're starting at your own 25.
Right.
And
So-
it also doesn't help when you continue to get these stops.
Mm-hmm.
You continue to get these 3 and outs.
Yep.
Dude, I like it when I saw us get that first 3 and out on the first drive. I was like, "Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
we
we're
did it,
back.
we
so
did
back,
it, we
yeah.
did it! Oh my goodness!" I was so happy. And then I saw us to continue get a couple stops here.
Yeah.
They only scored 27 points.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah,
they
that's
scored
true.
And
46 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we were able to get stops, and so when it kills you is when you get that stop,
Those stops.
you hold them,
And the
and then you
offense-
go 3 and out.
Yeah.
Then you go 3 and out, and you're
We'll-
punting the ball, and it's like
We'll
come
talk
on.
about it. We'll talk about that. But would you have played anybody different than those guys that got reps on Sunday evening? And if so, who would you have thrown in there?
No, not really.
Nah.
I got one.
Just looking at the way we did play, I just think more so our offense didn't give us enough.
That's what I think.
I mean,
It just didn't give us enough.
there's no hiding that. But I think Blake Baker should probably throw in Deshaun Spears out there with the safeties because Jordan Gilbert was kind of a liability all game. And I'm not even trying to joke.
No,
I'm just
you're
saying
not-
he struggled all night.
Yeah.
And you would have thought with a guy with experience, he wasn't going to go out and do that. But you need a playmaker in the safety position and somebody that can actually read the field. And Spears is a guy that played corner, he played safety, and he could read the field really well. And then spring ball, I mean, he was as good as anybody. So I would have said him. And then you should have let P.J. Woodland probably play more corner. And you didn't see it until later in the game. But you should have probably put him on the same guy that Sage Ryan was covering just because it was a better matchup. Like P.J. Woodland's a guy that's 6'2", and you have Sage Ryan who's just maybe 6 foot, if even.
Right.
And he's physical, but he's not going to go and
That's
what
not
I'm saying.
enough all the time.
I agree. I think that was kind of threw off the last drive.
Yeah.
But even though LSU didn't get the job done, they showed flashes with a few consecutive stops like we talked about. And they did keep LSU in the game for a while. So what did you like about the defense when that was happening?
The
I mean,
energy.
Yeah.
The energy. I think that was really the catalyst for them getting those consecutive stops. And not only just the energy, but the confidence that you could see that was building in them each and every stop that they were
100%,
forcing.
man.
Like, bro, I kid you not. When we got that fourth down stop before he took his helmet off, I was like, that's it.
Yeah,
I thought that was
me
it. I
too.
thought, look, this is
Me
the
too.
perfect time for us to use
Take
this
the momentum, yep.
go put up another touchdown, and we gonna ride out of Vegas with a W. But
Yep.
things happen differently.
You beat
But
yourself.
Yeah, I would say just the energy because I didn't see that once last
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man. And like my thing is I think we played a good enough job. I mean, not a good enough job, but we did a good enough job for our defense, seeing that we haven't seen something like that in previous
Exactly.
years.
It was a lot to ask.
It was a lot to ask for our
And they did
defense.
what you needed them to
Exactly,
do.
and we got a brand new OC, brand new D line coach.
Like the defense is going to get better throughout the season.
and
It definitely will. But to win this game, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're great.
But to win this game, you were correct. The defense was probably asked to hold it under 30. Mm-hmm. Under 30 wins you the ball game.
We did that.
Dude,
and they did that.
The
And-
overline was 66.5. We were expected to score like 30 to 40
30,
points. That was pretty much the consensus. And the question was going to be, can the defense stop them to below 30 to hold them to a decent amount? That was the question. And I think the only thing that I would like to see different, maybe, and I wouldn't even put anybody else in new or anything. I kind of like where we're at. I just need to see somebody go out there and make a play. I need to somebody come down with a big interception. I need to see somebody hit somebody hard and force a fumble. We have to be able to do that and get our offense in good field
position.
good field position. Like
They did it.
They did their job.
And then
they did their job, and then penalties happen, shooting themselves in the foot.
It's a few
but
things.
My anger's all really on the offense, and we're about to get to that. But I'm not really mad at the defense. If we could just see like one or two big plays, man, that's going to change everything for this team. The momentum, the energy, everything will be moving.
Yeah, and that opportunity for that was definitely there. I mean, there was like 2 or 3 plays at least where like the ball was loose.
We almost had a pick.
We didn't come up with
We almost had 1 or 2. We dropped one.
Exactly.
Yeah, Stamps dropped one. But what I liked about the defense, like during that kind of sequence, bro, that rush defense was insane.
Yes.
Like last year's defense couldn't even do that. So just seeing the step up and just seeing their technique of them actually, like the defensive line, shedding blocks, getting to the back of the field. Like you did not, I'm telling you guys, like against a great team, they did not do that consistently. So just seeing that makes me know, like, Bo Davis and Kevin Peoples got to work this offseason.
And BK's been preaching it since he got here and since he got rid of cleared house and everything last year. He's been saying, look, I understand it's college football. I understand that we're here at LSU and it's a win now type of thing. But this defense, he knows it'll get better each day and each year. But he also knows that it's going to take a little bit of time to get back to where it needs to be because, like recruits are coming in. We've already done such great job on recruiting and transfer portal's only going to get better. So, like, they're doing their job. And so I think that this ground that we're at right now, to see the jump from last year to this year, and we also don't know how good USC is going to be. But based off that, I really hope that we just didn't make them look good. I hope that they're actually a good football team.
I think they will be a good team.
I do too.
I mean, judging off some of those throws that Miller Moss made, I was like,
he's a stud.
But also, you look at some of the plays, and LSU's line got manhandled. So let's
talk about that.
Like this, like you said, this isn't just LSU getting, this isn't like them playing a poor game.
Bad football game.
They did at points.
Right.
But USC is good, too. To give them their props. I mean, the team from the West Coast was ready to play. So, moving on to this offense, they started slow and then picked up the pace during the middle of the game. 3 red zone trips, by the way, only 6 points. And that's the story of the game and what came to be their downfall in the end. But very complacent offense during the times of those stops. And it seemed like LSU was a bit scared to be aggressive, and USC wasn't. USC was never really scared to be aggressive on offense, and that's really why LSU lost.
Yeah.
And I think it was a coaching thing. I think coaching lost this game. Garrett Nussmeier looked impressive, though, besides 2 throws, I would say. And I think you're going to see him start to become more comfortable, like any quarterback with the reps. So let's just start off with that play calling. Who is to blame for the complacency in the third and fourth quarter when the offense couldn't get a first down after 3 straight drives that the defense got stops?
I mean, I'm putting mine on Mr. Sloan. Like, I truly think that, look, man, first off, first drive of the game, drive all the way down.
Beautiful.
Kyron Lacey has 70 yards. We get all the way down to the 5-yard line.
That's the hardest place to score.
Hardest place to score. 3 and out. Love the idea to go for it. You call a timeout. At that moment, you call a timeout. Take your 3.
Exactly.
Take your 3. Go up 3 points. Because then when you don't, that gives USC immediately. They know you're going to run the football. They know you're running the ball. And then gives them an opportunity to get ready. And it ruined all the momentum. It was a tie game. You could have been up. Then we're running counter reads all game when
it's just predictable.
Yeah, and you've got Nussmeier, who could pull that ball and run for 10, 15 yards. He is sneaky fast. But you don't have Nuss, or you don't have JD5 back there anymore. It's not, you don't have that. So, like, yes, I know that's what worked. It's what worked in the past. But look, we said it on the show. Me and Jayden were talking about it a few days ago. This is a whole different look. Yeah. And so you need to start playing like it's a whole different look. This isn't the same general offense. You need to switch it up for what you have, because this can work. I know we got guys, so this can work. You just got to change it up and work with what you have.
I mean, you hit it right on the money, bro.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I don't know who else it would be to put on besides the OC.
Yeah,
it's just like, it's almost like we were surprised that what we were doing was working. And it just seemed like he was like,
Exactly,
okay, let me tone it down to make sure I don't
bro.
mess nothing up. And you literally said on the show that that's going to be a key to us winning the game and playing well, not getting too complacent within the offense. Garrett was doing just fine. I was perfectly fine with every throw he was making.
I thought Kyron was about to have 400 yards.
There's no reason Kyron Lacy shouldn't have finished this game.
And they just abandoned the pass game.
Just abandoned it.
Yeah.
Completely stopped the run. I understand that they changed their coverages up.
They started stacking the box and we were still running.
Brackets or something. I don't know what they did, but why were we like? I don't understand. There's no reason he didn't finish this game with 100 yards. It doesn't make any sense to me. I can't understand it.
We'll talk about that, but yeah, it's Joe Sloan, and I'll give a little bit to Cortez too, because you got to stand up for your receivers at some point.
Yeah,
you got to tell Sloan, hey,
throw the ball.
They're not expecting it. I mean, you're taking away Nussmeier's love for the deep ball, and they're stacking the box. It's not like you can't do it. Mm-hmm. You have a great offensive line. If they blitz, they're gonna get it. Like they're gonna pick it up for enough time for you to go and launch a deep ball.
We didn't take any deep shots.
No deep shots. I mean,
Sunday,
if you want to count the Aaron Anderson one, I mean, I wouldn't even. That's more of a medium
play design.
That's a yak. That's more of a yak play. But I think he's got to get better at knowing this situation. Look, I like Michael said, I get this isn't last year's offense, and you want to chew a little clock. But that does not mean you move away from the systematic approach to running your offense. You have to run it play after play. You can't become predictable, and you can't move away from the pass when it's working well. And same thing with the run. The run was working well when we had John Emery a little bit. Okay, well, after about 6 run plays, you would think, hey, let's do a little pass. Maybe they won't be prepared for a deeper ball. And sure enough, another damn run down the middle. It was like I was watching freaking Les Miles again.
The entire world knew that we wanted to run the ball going into the game. Yeah. The entire world. Every single person knew that we wanted to run the ball. Thank you, Will Campbell, for telling everybody, by the way. And it didn't work. Yeah. It just simply did not work.
By the way, the running backs besides John Emery looked awful.
I mean, when you're only giving Caleb Jackson five attempts, like, I mean, you're not giving.
He got trucked though.
I mean, yeah, but like,
play. I mean, none of the running backs ran low. Like they all just stood up. I don't know what they thought was going to happen. They're not playing nickels.
Yeah,
it's not nickels we
get. Look that great either. I don't want to say that great.
Let's talk about it. At times, like you said, it looked like the LSU offensive line just couldn't get that push, which is quite disappointing when you look at how experienced and talented the group is. So I guess that begs me to ask: should this be a big concern for this team down the line, or do you think some of that just kind of falls on the play calling and just kind of being predictable and within the creativeness within the runs?
I don't want to say a concern because, like you said, let's give some credit to USC. Their line did come to show.
Yeah,
showed up and
they were ready.
They played their butts off. But it is disappointing nonetheless. I mean, this is supposed to be one of, if not the best offensive lines in the country. And it sure as heck didn't look like it on Sunday night. I mean, we just looked like another line. John Emery was just like a resurgence of life when he got in the game.
Yeah,
I didn't even know he was like playing.
It was that draw play.
It was.
He gained some weight though, and it was
He's
good
a
weight.
Big boy.
Josh Will. Sorry, I said his damn name wrong because I'm so mad. Josh Williams gained weight, but it wasn't good weight.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of looked big. I don't know. He kind of looked like he was looking like
Maybe
Frank Gore.
18. I don't know what it is. But
Eddie Lacy.
Not Eddie Lacy because that's just disrespectful. But I mean, he looked big, and when you looked at Josh Williams, last season, you looked at him, you're like, this is a small guy. I know this is John. Yeah, it didn't look like that on.
Yeah, our line they didn't assert themselves enough into that game.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I thought the pass protection was good.
Me too.
I thought the pass protection was really good.
That's why I don't get why we abandoned it.
Yeah, me neither. Garrett had all day to throw in that pocket. He looked super comfortable in there, and that was nice because he didn't have to move. He didn't have to run around like JD did, and that's perfect for Garrett. That works in his system. And so if the run pro is not working, maybe throw the ball. Yeah. But that run pro needs to work. It needs to be good.
You're a great line. You should be able to do it. And if not, stop pulling the damn guards.
You got 2 first-round picks projected.
Yeah.
You got 2 of them, and you're trying to tell me you can't run the football?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, how that doesn't make sense.
That's another thing. You had penalties on the offensive line too, and it was like you never see this.
Was it 2 or 3 on Will?
It was 2 on Will and 1 on Emery, and you were like, ooh wee.
The one where he was like, I can't hear you. Like, that infuriated me.
Oh,
like,
come on, man.
They have communication in the helmet, by the way.
You playing Death Valley. What do you mean you can't hear? Like, what?
Come on, man.
It's true.
Like,
I'll say I'm a little concerned for the offensive line because they were supposed to be miles ahead of that USC defensive line, and they just couldn't get it done in the rush game. Like, I thought this team was going to go and get about 200, 220 rushing yards.
I thought we were scoring 40 points.
I didn't think that, but
I thought we had that. I thought we had an opportunity to go out there and score 30 to 40 points. I really did.
Like I said, I think a little of that falls on the play calling again, as like we talked about previous. You read the counter reads, and that doesn't work. And then you're like, hey, that doesn't work. We're going to go back to the same run we've been running for the same last year with the inside zones. You can't do that either. The outside zones were working, and we just went away from it. You got to do some stretch zones. You got to do some other types of runs. The draw plays were working, but you can't do that too much. You have to start being creative. And the pass blocking was fine, like I said, in my opinion. But I do think the technical issues will get fixed. And I will say DJ Chester looked good at center.
Yeah, he did, man.
Yeah, so
he
good for him. Garrett Nussmeier seemed to be very efficient, but he did play a very different game than what we expected him to. Do you think coaching maybe holding him back a bit to where he wasn't allowed to throw that D ball?
Yes, and that goes back into the point of like what went wrong. I think that has something to do with why the play calling looked different all of a sudden. Because like I said, it almost seemed like he was like, okay, this is working, but let me make sure I don't mess nothing up.
It never, like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen, like, an offense click so well right off the gate. And then it wasn't even that they lost, like, their click. It was, you know what I mean? It wasn't like they
just
lost
weren't being aggressive.
Yes, it's just they stopped. It's like they just stopped playing football. And you know, I don't know. I just think
for sure.
I just think that the age-old quote that I've always lived by, to be honest, is if it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Don't fix it. Like, it doesn't make sense.
They tried fixing it, so.
And there was nothing to fix.
Exactly, man.
I don't know, man. Like, the way we opened the first drive, I thought
it was
it's going to be it. Like, we're going to finally get an opening night.
It was like a 7-minute drive. I was like, okay.
Great continuity within the offense. Everybody looked like where they're supposed to be.
If they score that touchdown on the first drive, they win the game.
Yeah.
Simple as that. But
that's why I think
maybe they even get 3 points. It's a different ball game.
I don't know about 3, but you know how much energy that takes out of a team?
Yeah, I think that's
scoring 7 after a big old 7-minute drive.
I think that's why taking your points is so important. Like, it almost seems like we in the Matrix. Like, we did the same thing 2 years in a row. Like, we don't learn our lesson. Like, at some point, we got to stop being greedy. Like, I don't think because
I don't care what analytics say at some point of the day. You got to be.
You play football.
Like I said, I don't hate the call because. But it's the type of play that you draw up.
Yeah.
I don't hate the call until you call that timeout, man. Like, as soon as you call that timeout, you have
game management was awful.
You have to go away from it because it's like you go and I mean, I know that there was clock issues or whatever and you couldn't get to it, but like, come on, man. Like,
take the 3.
Take your 3 or something just because I already said it, but like if USC everybody knew you were about to run that ball. Yeah. Everybody knew and it didn't work.
When you have Mason Taylor, who was absolutely great, which we haven't talked
except
about.
for the one drop. But yeah, other than that,
who are some players that need to be utilized more in the future?
Mason Taylor.
This week? I guess start there.
Yeah, Mason Taylor. I guess the rest of the tight end room. I thought Pimpton. Yeah. Pimpton had some bright spots for him.
Can't block for he can't block.
He can't block, but I think that it will. I think that is going to improve. Mason is a good blocking tight end.
He is.
Yeah. He's a great blocking tight end.
He's a great 2-way tight end.
And so if you have him blocking, and you can use Pimpton as another wideout because he can catch the ball, and then
really
you've already
built like a wideout.
Exactly, and then you've already got your your guys at wideout. We were a little bit unsure of how good Kyron Lacy was going to be. I think he's going to be pretty damn good.
We know he's going to be pretty good.
Like,
yeah,
I think he has an opportunity to win the Blitnikoff, and I mean it's a long shot, but I think he has a great opportunity to win the Blitnikoff, 100%.
Yeah, same thing. I think Mason Taylor is like kind of like an X factor, because when I did see him get involved on Sunday, I was like, oh wait, there's Mason Taylor. Like, I'd almost forgotten about
he played really well.
Yeah, he played really well.
They didn't do enough either.
Really good after the catch too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And besides him, I'd probably say C.J. Daniels. I would
Yeah.
have liked to see us target him
Xavion.
just a little bit more.
I had that too.
Not sure why that didn't happen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But look, we did all that. Offense looked that great, and we didn't even have Chris Hilton on the field.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. But also, I don't understand why Caden Durham wasn't used, because he's a guy I can definitely see being dangerous in those outside zone plays where, I mean, you had Josh Williams he just couldn't get around the blocks very fast.
Is made for wheel routes.
That's I agree. Or just a speedy route, like those crack tosses.
Out or something.
Those crack tosses that LSU ran with John Emery, he did pretty well, but you want a guy that can get in that second gear right away.
I just don't know how we scored only 20 points. I still can't. Like, I'm thinking about this. Like, we're talking about it, and my brain still has not wrapped it. Like, I don't understand how you can only score 20 points when you're able to move the ball. It kind of looked like the Saints from time to time, like looking decent in between the 20-yard lines, and then you get
to the red zone,
you get to the 20-yard line, it's like they don't know what to do.
That's a lot of teams, though. I will say that. Like, you didn't have to worry about that last year because Jayden Daniels he made it look so easy. But moving forward, just let's talk about the scheduling thing. I've seen a lot of questions about this. Does LSU need to start scheduling week 0 opponents before going to play those high quality guys, or do you think, or do you kind of expect to win these year in year out?
Is the sky blue?
Yeah.
Look, if this
isn't a sign
year in year out, if this isn't a sign that we need to schedule.
Look at what all the good teams are doing too.
Not even a week 0 point.
Yeah, you don't even need to go week 0.
Team.
Yeah.
If this isn't a sign that we need to do that, then I don't know what is.
We're not Georgia yet. We can't do that.
I think that's what kind of makes me mad about it, is that I think them scheduling these hard games is, one, it's about money. Let's just be honest, and two, I think it's a pride thing. I think it's
a pride thing.
I think initially it helps you. It does.
It is a pride thing.
It battle tests you a little bit because, I mean, granted, you have to learn from some quality of opponent, and it makes sense. But I mean, I'm not saying you have to go and schedule like Furman, like Ole Miss did. Yeah. Go and schedule like a Georgia Tech.
Well,
somebody you can beat, and that's going to give you good reps.
My thing is like we schedule teams like Grambling, Nichols, Western Kentucky. Like we
use those weeks.
Exactly. Yeah. Like we schedule those teams anyways. Why are we scheduling them in the middle, like in week 5?
November.
Why are we scheduling South Alabama right after we play USC, Nichols, UCLA? Like, why are we scheduling South Alabama in the middle of all that when we can play them week 1 just to kind of see where our team's at?
I agree. And you don't have to show anything. You just have to get you have to get the kinks. Yeah. You have to get the kinks out.
It's all about reps, man. And like, yes, playing your own team is one thing, but bro, when you throw a bunch of dogs into a room with another bunch of dogs, it's just gonna you can't really do a whole lot. You know what I mean? Like when it's your first game out there, you got all these
especially
jitters.
with a new playoff.
Exactly, man.
You can't take those chances anymore.
I wish we played USC this week.
You play in the look. You play in the SEC. So if somebody wants to get on you for scheduling a cupcake like I did with just Ole Miss, but the thing is, Ole Miss doesn't play anybody in conference. LSU does. Yeah. Like, you don't need to do that. You really don't. You play UCLA week 4. That'll be a good test. That would have been a good test for them before Ole Miss going into the bye week. They didn't need to do anything extra. Now, if they really would have, like Michael said, they could have scheduled USC week 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also think these types of games, like sometimes it's just a little bit too much for these guys, man. I mean, opening the season.
You know how much
Sunday
pressure,
night,
too?
Everybody's watching. It's only you. Like, these
Three
games,
rows.
the past
3
2
years.
years.
And it's not
both
gonna get
against Florida
easier.
State and then Sunday against USC. These games feel like a spectacle. It feels like something different, something special is going on.
And next year is at Clemson.
At Clemson.
It don't get any better from here. But won't lie to you, that game is more likely than this one because Dabo is on his way down.
Well, I hope so. But I can already hear the fake Death Valley things coming, and I don't need to.
Who?
I don't need to hear it.
Well, that's a whole other topic. But that's going to do it for us on today's episode. Thanks to Michael Poggi and Jayden Smith for joining us today. I'm Andre Champagne, and this has been the Hodges Huddle.